it's not tough enough at all. Kids can sense weakness. Don't make me come back there. Ooh, yeah, that's better. In fact, that kind of sounded like my dad. Weird.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who would love to listen to you practice your dad voice. Call 1-888-200-4005 or visit adoptuskids.org for more information. This message brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services, Adopt Us Kids, and the Ad Council.
Look at our top Fox story, developing the suspect in the New York and New Jersey bombings. Ahmed Khan Rahami was taken into custody a little over an hour ago after a shootout with police in Linden, New Jersey. Rahami was injured. An officer shot in the bulletproof vest was also hurt, as was a cop hit by shrapnel. And again, that is the case after just hours after the bombings in Elizabeth, New Jersey. And Rahami's linked to that and the attack in New York City over the weekend as well. A week-long attempt to stop the fighting in Syria declared over by Syria's military, blaming numerous violations of the ceasefire on opposition rebels. Fox's Jessica Gallagher, live in our Middle East Bureau.
Dave, Syria's military says a week-long ceasefire is over because the opposition undermined the agreement. This after Damascus said in a statement last week the Washington-Moscow brokered ceasefire would end Sunday at sundown. The High Negotiation Committee says Syria's government has committed 254 violations for the week this ceasefire has been in effect. The United Nations has accused the Syrian government of obstructing aid, which was a key part of the deal. It's unclear whether Washington and Moscow will work together to target ISIS, as was also part of the agreement. Dave.
Jessica, Syria will be the talk also at the sidelines of the UN General Assembly today. President Obama talking to Iraq's leader. An actress from an Oscar-winning movie has died.
She played Liesel, the eldest Von Trapp daughter in The Sound of Music.
I am 16, going on 17.
Actress Charmaine Carr has died of a rare form of dementia at her home in Los Angeles. After the 1965 smash hit, she wrote 2 books about her experiences as Liesel, Forever Liesel, and Letters to Liesel, and fully embraced audiences' love for the musical, frequently appearing at sing-along performances at the Hollywood Bowl. Carr later became an interior designer in Southern California.
That's Lisa Lucera. I'm Dave Anthony, Fox News Radio.
New morning show alert. New morning show alert. The Warren Ballantine Show airs daily from 9 to 11 a.m. Central Time, bringing you the news you need to know. The Warren Ballantine Show, now on the New Orleans Talk Network.
This is the Reverend D. Dunn
and Charles Stewart.
We will be coming to you live every Monday, 11 to 12 noon, on New Orleans Talk Network, hosting a new show, A Church Without Walls. The church is us, and the church is you. We are a church with no boundaries. Stay as long as you want, leave when you want. Remember, every Monday, 11 to 12 noon, tune into A Church with No Walls.
Don't you dare miss it.
This is Tanya Free. There are 469 U.S. congressional seats up for election this November. Many Americans reportedly cannot name their congressman or congresswoman and are unaware of their legislative record. How about you? Do you know the names of the congressional candidates in your district up for election this November? Have they earned your vote?
The Tanya Free and Friends Talk Show. Your destination for the best in social and political straight talk. Wednesdays, 2 p.m. Eastern.
Make us smile.
Bethesda House of Prayer. Bethesda is a church for non-traditional worshipers, a church designed for those who love God's Word. Would you like to attend a church where believers and non-believers can choose to worship together? A church where cultural differences does not get in the way of God's message. We invite you to be our special guest. Our services begin 9 a.m. on Sunday, located at 7601 West Bank Expressway, Suite B, Marrero, Louisiana. For more information, contact us at 504-348-0132.
Good evening, good evening. This is the New Orleans Talk Network, and it's 12 o'clock. It's time for you and your credit. I'm your host, Remus Bowman, and I'm going to start off the show today with the same thing I say every week after week after week after week. Have you gotten a copy of your free credit report? If you can start with getting the information, then you'll know what's on the report, and then you'll know what you have to do, or what you can get an understanding of what's necessary in order for you to improve your credit score. Sometimes, occasionally, I'll have customers that come into the dealership and they'll say, can I get financed? If your credit scores be below a certain number, then most lenders will not take you seriously. Your credit scores are going to go from 350 to 850. That's the margin, from 350 to 850 points. More often than not, most people that get to a 600 like to think they have a good credit score, but actually you're just above, you're fair, you're above poor. What's considered to be a good credit score is a 650 or better. If you have less than a 650 point score on any of your credit reports, that is not considered to be a good credit report, a good credit score, excuse me. However, you deserve a second chance. We all have an opportunity to restore our good name and become more credit worthy. That's a key word that most people need to understand, that the lenders, when you go into a facility, a bank, or a loan company, or a credit union, and you ask for a loan, the number one thing they're going to do is they're going to look at your credit report to see if you are credit worthy. Have you made mistakes in the past? Have you overcome those mistakes? Now, my objective is to give you a remedy for some of the problems that have existed in your past, and as a result of me giving you that remedy, hopefully you use it, you'll improve your scores, or you'll come by and you sit with me and let me give you instructions on what you need to do to get a good credit score. We've helped hundreds of people by now. I'm so happy at some of the positive effects that I've had on people's lives. We've had people that have bought houses, bought cars, got low interest rates, the whole 9 yards, as a result of a very brief consultation with me. If you'll take the time to watch this show, this may be my most important show. I think about every show that I've done, and I think that each show is very important and serves a certain amount of positive to give people something that they can use to improve their credit score. The objective here is not so much to have you purchase a service or anything like that, but I truly believe that if we had a complete or as much understanding of how the credit scores or the range or created, what we need to do in order to make our credit scores go up, so that we can get the score that we need to have the nice car, the nice house, or to be able to go to Cox Cable and not have to put down a deposit. If you get a phone, you got to put on a deposit if you have a certain score. We can help you. I promise you, you can do it. It's not beyond your ability. There's no reason why you can't. Everybody has all credit scores are created by the same the same thing. There's the amount of time that you've been in the credit bureau, your payment history, the amount of credit that you have, the length of credit history, amount of new credit, and different credit types. Those are the things that drive your score. More often than not, bad things happen to good people. We all fall short, and we get into situations where things happen that we can't control. So as a result, if you have a full understanding of how your credit report is created, then you have an opportunity to evaluate and see what you need to do in order to improve that credit score. It's not that difficult. It's not rocket science. It's not brain surgery. Believe me, you can do it. But in many cases, we need the correct information. We need the right information in order to have a basis for a complete understanding of how how the credit score is arrived at, and what role we play or can play in improving it. And that's my objective. We're going to try to give you some information in just a moment. We're going to take a pause for a worthy cause, and we're going to be right back.
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business. New morning show alert. New morning show alert. The Warren Ballentine Show airs daily from 9 to 11 a.m. Central Time, bringing you the news you need to know. The Warren Ballentine Show, now on the New Orleans Talk Network.
This is Captain Black.
This is Brother Al Mims. Join us for our new show,
The Hostages That Fight Back. Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Central.
We are all hostages to something,
but it's up to us
to find the courage to fight back and make the change.
So tune in to become the change you want to see in the world, here on New Orleans Talk Network.
Brothers and sisters! Brothers and sisters! I don't know what this world is coming to.
Happy Merry Mondays. It's your girl, Mary J. I want you to tune in with me to Real Talk with Mary J on New Orleans Talk Network every Monday morning at 10 a.m. Then follow me to blogtalkradio.com/Real Talk with Mary J at 10 p.m. It's going to be a Merry Monday every Monday at 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. You've just tuned in to New Orleans Talk Network.
What's up, New Orleans? Listen, this your man Fred, host of your #1 sports talk show down here in New Orleans. Yeah, I said it. FanView, where real fans talk about real sports. Join me, Bank Ball Recite, your people's man B, and Madman the Big Fan as we talk about all the latest sports topic going down here around the country. Again, FanView, where real fans talk about real sports.
Another rocket shot, bobbed and loud. Another rocket shot, bobbed and loud. Another run a shot.
341-8255, the New Orleans Talk Network.
We're back. This is the New Orleans Talk Network. I'm your host, Remus Bowman. And if you do nothing, then nothing will change. Think about it. If you do nothing today, tomorrow, 6 months from now, a year from now, what's going to change? You know, I often speak to people and they'll tell me, well, I'm just waiting for that stuff to come off. You don't have to do that. You can be proactive. You can get it off. There's a great percentage of information that is found on our credit report that is undocumented, incorrect, that you can have removed. There's third-party information that's being placed on your credit report by collection agencies that is unsubstantiated by the original company that you may be able to get moved off your credit report. There are student loans, and I think student loans is the craziest thing because you can find yourself with the same student loan on your credit report for up to 5 to 6, 10 times. But if you do nothing, nothing will change. My name's Remus Bowman. The name of the show is You and Your Credit. You can call me at area code 504-341-8255, or you can call me personally at 504-274-8117, or you can email me at remusbowman55@gmail.com. I'm on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, everywhere. If you'd like to consult with me about your credit information, we're here to help. I represent a company. It's called United Financial Services. You might see the green placard on my left-hand side. It's called the Protection Plan. Now, the Protection Plan gives you an opportunity to get the erroneous information from your credit report. Now, think about it. If you walked into a dealership, as many people do, I've got about 2 people that are going to meet me today. Unfortunately, these 2 people had less than good credit, and although I didn't feel very good about submitting an application, but we got to give it a try because you never know who's, lightning sometimes strikes and people get lucky because of the income. Because of the amount that they're putting down. Unfortunately, they may be able to. Fortunately, they may be able to get the car that they want, but they're going to pay that high interest because the bank or lender realizes that he's taking a major chance. He's giving you a loan, but you're going to pay a discounted fee or a large interest rate. But if you take the time to do what I suggest you do, then we can get you in line where you can have a normal purchase with a normal average interest rate. Imagine paying. Here's what one story. About 3-4 months ago, I had a young lady. If you go to my Facebook page, you'll see there's a lady that's on there that just recently bought a little Infinity. A little Infinity cost in the $20,000 range. When she originally came to the dealership about 3-4 months ago, she said, I want me a Lexus. I said, sure, let's go take a look. Let's see what we can do to get you in your Lexus there. Of course, because I've known this lady for quite a long time because I've been around the city a while, and I have a lot of customers, a lot of repeat customers, and friends will recommend their friends to me. So she says, I want a Lexus. Now, at the time she came in, she was around a 5'11", 5'14", 5'15". All 3 reports were in the 500s. But she had been on a job a substantial amount of time. I think it's more like 4 or 5 years. And she was willing to put down $4,000. I said, man, that's a good down payment. She said, yeah, I'm going to put my money down to get my car. So I looked at her and I said, look, you know me for a long time. Do you trust me? Can you trust me? If you do your car deal today, you're going to end up paying an 18 to 24% interest rate on this car. It's a $20,000+ car. You're going to have about a $600 a month note. A large percentage of your money is going to go to interest. You're just not going to be able to get out of it. It's going to be a very difficult process to get your finance, but you're putting out a substantial amount of money, so you'll have equity in your vehicle. And a lot of times banks look for, when you have adverse credit, they look for you to have equity, sometimes 80, 90%. Recently, as of last week, we had one bank come back. They want the customer to have 85%. They wanted the customer to have 15% equity after tax, title, and license in their purchase. Now, what happens is, and a lot of people may or may not understand this, so this is a good old-fashioned teaching moment. I'm going to tell you what banks look for when you have a low credit score, and what most banks will, how they will react to you. Now, if a bank comes in and says, "Well, we want you to be at 80% or 85% or 90%," now here's what happens: whatever the retail agreement that you made, that you agreed to pay for that purchase, is, it has to be 85 and 90 to 95 or 90% of the amount that the bank is willing to loan on that particular purchase. So if the bank is only going to loan $10,000 on that particular car, but then you are at $10,000 plus tax, title, license, which is going to bring you somewhere to around 11.5, 11.3, between 11.3 and 11.5. In New Orleans, it's 10% plus you have to pay for your tax, your title, and your licensing fees. So you're about $1,500 away. So here's what you need to do on that particular car. You would normally put down $1,000 to $1,500, but because the bank has requested you to be an additional 15% behind loan value, or what they consider to be loan value. Now instead of putting down $1,500, you're going to need to put down $2,500 to get to the 80 or 90% or 85% of the loan value, and you're still going to probably end up with a high interest rate. This is how those economics actually work when you're buying a car. Now, on the other hand, in the situation with my friend who came in and bought her Infiniti recently, because she had gone into my credit restoration program and she stayed in roughly about 3.5, 4 months, cleaned it up. She went from a 500 Beacon score to about a 610, 620. Now she can buy a car. Not only was she able to buy a car, she was able to buy a car with less than a 10% interest rate. I think her interest rate was somewhere around 8, 9%. Do you realize how much money that lady just saved by waiting those 3.5 months or 4 months? She saved so much money over the course of that contract that actually she is going to benefit, and her auto note is less than $500 a month. Whereas had she gone into the original purchase at the time that she originally came in and talked to me, she would be like $650 a month. See the difference? Imagine paying $490 or $450 a month versus $650 a month. Just on the monthly notes over the term of that contract, she's saving about $150 a month just on interest. So if you can get that, get your arms around how much money you can save by cleaning up your credit, going into a program, coming by and see me over at Toyota. I'd be happy to give you a consultation for free. By the way, sometime in the first quarter of next year, I intend to write a book on credit. I'm hoping that everyone will take this seriously. I'm going to provide all of the information that you need to make good credit decisions. You know, on the other hand, I had another lady that came in. She had been involved in an automobile accident. She wanted a particular type of car. She was putting out, I don't know, $1,000 at the time. She had her credit was a little rough, and she had an outstanding car loan on her credit report. As a result, she ended up with a high interest rate. I think it was 22%, even on cars that don't have great, great resale value. But she had driven the car for 2 years. In effect, the car, when she originally purchased the car, it only had 20,000 miles. At this time, she had about 62,000 miles. So she drove over 20,000 miles a year. So consequently, she ended up with, because she didn't put very much money down, she had a high interest rate, 22%, and she had a what they call when you drive in excess of 15,000 miles per year, then you get a deduct on the trade value of the vehicle for the overage and mileage. So the end result was she ended up being about $6,000-$7,000 in what we call flipped or negative equity. A lot of times people do not have a full understanding of what negative equity is, but if you'll take it and you'll learn from the example I just gave you, and with some occasionally we may come back doing and shows in the future and talk about this aspect of trading cars in. A lot of times people will have a car for a year, 2 years, and they may not be satisfied with the vehicle for whatever reason and would like to transition to another vehicle. These are all thoughts that we've got to have in the beginning when we go into an automobile purchase. This is something that most people do almost never consider when they're buying a car, and never consider the way out. Also, if you fail to have proper insurance and gap insurance on that purchase, then where you're going to be if you're involved in an auto accident and the vehicle is totaled, you're going to have a headache. I promise you, it's going to be difficult to overcome that situation. In this particular case, the lady that I'm referring to, she was involved in an accident. She had demolished her car, and she did not have proof that the previous car was being paid off. She had gotten involved with an attorney who was kind of slow rolling her transaction for whatever reason. And at the end of the day, now had she put down more money, which she didn't have the money available to her at that time, her negative equity may not be as bad as it is. But because she drove so many, 42 or 43,000 miles in a 2-year period, then certainly that's going to create some negative equity, because in America, most people drive between 12 and 15,000 miles. It's time for our second break. We're going to take a pause to, refuel out the information that we're going to give you. Hopefully you're benefiting from this segment. This is You and Your Credit. I'm your host, Remus Bowman. This is the New Orleans Talk Network.
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
Are you a member of Bedside Baptist? Well, now you can join Bethesda House of Prayer every Sunday for our live broadcast. It starts at approximately 9:45 every Sunday morning. Just go to NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com and click play. We can't wait for you to join us from your home. And don't forget, if you want to join us live and in person, service starts for 9 a.m. and we are located at 7601 West Lake Expressway, Marrero, Louisiana, 70072, Suite C.
This is Captain Black.
This is Brother Al Mims. Join us for our new show,
The Hostages That Fight Back. Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Central.
We are all hostages to something,
but it's up to us
to find the courage to fight back and make the change.
So tune in to become the change you want to see in the world, here on New Orleans Talk Network.
Brothers and sisters! Brothers and sisters! I don't know what this world is coming to.
What is New Orleans Talk Network? It's today's hottest topics with an added flair. You get ready, because the conversation will be hot, and better yet, mobile. Download the New Orleans Talk Network app, available on Android, iPhone, iPad, and you can listen to us on the web at www.neworleanstalknetwork.com. Write down our talk line at 504-341-TALK. That's 504-341-8255. Interactive and worldwide. That's what we are. Join in on the real conversation and tell a friend about the New Orleans Talk Network.
What's up, New Orleans? Listen, this your man Fred, host of your number one sports talk show down here in the water. Yeah, I said it. FanView, where real fans talk about real sports. Join me, Bank Boy Recite, your people's man B, and Madman the Big Fan, as we talk about all the latest sports topics going down here around the country. Again, FanView, where real fans talk about real sports.
That's 504-341-8255.
We're back. This is the New Orleans Talk Network. I'm your host, Remus Bowman, and this is You and Your Credit. Let me just say, everybody deserves a second chance. However, if you do nothing, nothing will change. We're here to try to help you get the second chance that you need. You can take a look at my V-card if you'll go to Remus Bowman on Facebook, or if you'll go to FES Credit Restoration, which is my page that I sponsor on Facebook, or even if you go to Twitter or Instagram or YouTube, you may be able to pull the V-card up there. And you don't need to come into the dealership to get the information you need. You can just text your information in. It says, if you want to call me, my phone number is on the V card as well, 504-274-8117. As you can see, I've lost a little bit of weight. I've tried to make myself fit. We've got to try to be as energetic and live as long as we possibly can by getting rid of excess weight. And that's the way I look at a bad credit score. It's excess weight. It creates a weight around your financial life. Imagine if you could be free to walk into any environment, any store, any car dealership, any mortgage company, any bank, Cox Cable or to any environment, and feel totally confident and comfortable that you are there to shop to get the thing that you're looking for, and that there was going to be nothing that was going to be standing in your way. Unfortunately, far too many people have to see it from a different perspective. We already know we have no idea what's on that credit report. We already know that our credit score is going to be low. We already know that we've been turned down for purchases all over the place. We already know that when we walk into the Apple store to get a phone, that they're going to pretty much want to deposit for the full amount of the phone. If you go, like I have an iPhone i6s, it's $700. But because I had a good credit score, I promise you I put down zero. This could be you. If you'll just take instruction, if you just follow my lead, I promise you we'll get you there. Try my V card. It says enroll now. Open that section of the V card. Go to that section, and I promise you that'll be a great beginning for you. If you have a problem with pulling it up, just call me and I'll send it to you and I'll walk you through the whole process. It's the beginning. You gotta start someplace. If you want to be able to drive that nice car, live in a nice neighborhood, have things happen. If we're using wasting all of our income on things that are hampering us from living, living full lives, it's almost depressing. I've seen people walk into the dealership needing a car. Most people don't come into dealerships wanting something. They come in because they need something, because they need an automobile. You don't come into the phone company looking for a phone because you want that phone. You need a phone, and what you're trying to do is you're trying to figure out what phone you qualify to get and what you can afford. Everything has a budget, and you're trying to put that particular item inside of your budget. Can I afford that iPhone? Can I afford that, that Android or whatever? Even with the phones with the what is it, Walmart, where you prepay phones and that kind of thing. And, everybody has that objective. We can only get what we can afford. And, when we have to pay high deposits and high interest on things, then that takes away from our standard of living. So, we're going to be, as I said earlier, we're going to be publishing a book sometime in the next 3 or 4 months. We're going to give you some information that you're going to need. Sort of a reference guide. It's going to be information that you're going to be able to use and it's going to. I promise you, we're going to make it very easy to read, very simple to understand, and we're going to give you the information you need to interact with the different credit bureaus. A lot of people don't know the name of the credit bureaus. Let me see. It's Experian, TransUnion, Equifax. We're going to try to give you their email address, their email address, and in some cases their phone number. We're going to try to give you as much information as we can, because this information affects your life. Not only does it affect your life, but let me ask you a question. Take a look at yourself, and because you haven't taken the time to deal with this issue, can you teach your children? Now, I meet people all the time who have great credit scores. I'm not saying everybody don't, because most people do. A large percentage of people do. But those people that have great credit scores, you know what the one thing that they all have in common? The people that have a full understanding of the credit scores, their children generally have a better understanding of credit scores. Because if you don't take the time to understand exactly how this information is relevant to your life, then you're not going to talk on it. You're not going to sit down with your daughter or son and say, let me explain to you an important part of life. Now, there's a lot of life lessons that parents give to their children, but one of the most important parts is that you got to have good credit if you want to have a good life. You know, and you'll find, because I've been in retail and I've been dealing with credit for such a long time, you'll also find that most of the people who have poor credit scores, their children also have poor credit scores. So in this aspect, if you look at things honestly and truthfully, then you'll realize that what you're doing is perpetuating a lifestyle on your children, on your seed. Most people would like to have their children have a better life than themselves. Now, if I want to improve my children's life above my own, I'm going to give them as much information as possible so that they can make great decisions. You know, not very long ago, I ran one of my daughter's credit reports. I smiled. My chest got big, my shoulders went back. This girl had a 700 Beacon score. I was so happy. And I don't know if I told her how proud of her I was. Because she actually is one of those children who actually pays attention to the information that I give her, and she listens, and she makes good decisions. That doesn't mean that I don't love my other daughters. It means that I haven't run their credit reports, and so as a result, I have no idea what their score is. But in that particular instance, I know what hers is, and boy, was I proud. The fact is that we want to make sure that our kids have a better life than we do. So in order for that to happen, we got to give them the information they need in order to make good financial decisions, and we need to have as much of an understanding of that information for ourselves before we can do that. Otherwise, we'll be giving out bad information. It's time for our final break. This is you and your credit. I'm your host, Remus Bowman, and this is the New Orleans Talk Network.
Listen up. Your customers, our listeners, could be hearing about your business right now. Yeah, right now. Don't miss out on the opportunity to advertise with NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. Call our business department today at 504-475-4793 to hear about our great rates. NewOrleansTalkNetwork.com. We provide the people, you provide the business.
New morning show alert. New morning show alert. The Warren Ballentine Show airs daily from 9 to 11 a.m. Central Time, bringing you the news you need to know. The Warren Ballentine Show, now on the New Orleans Talk Network.
This is Captain Black.
This is Brother Al Mims. Join us for our new show,
The Hostages That Fight Back, Wednesdays at 10 a.m. Central.
We are all hostages to something,
but it's up to us
to find the courage to fight back and make the change.
So tune in to become the change you want to see in the world, here on New Orleans Talk Network.
Brothers and sisters! Brothers and sisters! I don't know what this world is coming to.
Happy Merry Mondays. It's your girl, Mary J. I want you to tune in with me to Real Talk with Mary J on New Orleans Talk Network every Monday morning at 10 a.m. Then follow me to blogtalkradio.com/Real Talk with Mary J at 10 p.m. It's going to be a Merry Monday every Monday at 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. You've just tuned in to New Orleans Talk Network.
What's up, New Orleans? Listen, this your man Fred, host of your number one sports talk show down here in New Orleans. Yeah, I said it. Fan View, where real fans talk about real sports. Join me, Bang Ball Recite, your people's man B, and Madman the Big Fan as we talk about all the latest sports topics going down here around the country. Again, Fan View, where real fans talk about real sports.
Rock steady difference.
It's you and your credit. I'm your host, Remus Bowman, and we're on the New Orleans Talk Network. Oftentimes we speak about creditworthiness. Well, there's also something else that you really need to consider. It's called debt-to-income ratio. Now, what debt-to-income ratio is the amount of money versus the amount of credit that you have and whether or not you can comfortably pay that. Now, sometimes I've seen people that have had so many credit cards it was unreal. And what we got to understand is, at some point in time, if you get, unless you have a large amount of money in the bank set aside for a rainy day, sometimes in our lives we're all going to stub our toe. We're all going to have adversity hit in some kind of way. I mean, even if it's the situation that happened in Baton Rouge where everybody became flooded out, or some crazy person just runs into you in a car and demolishes your car and causes you physical damage that you're in the hospital or whatever. Those things happen. So when banks are analyzing credit reports, they look to make sure that you have the income so that you can be able to sustain a potential loss. So debt-to-income ratio is something that's always a part of creditworthiness. If you carry high limits on your debt, it creates a red sign. A red sign that you may be overextended, or you may be potentially overextended. So you want to, when we talk about high limits, we're not talking about having a $25,000 or $50,000 credit card and not being able to pay it, or a $10,000 credit card or $5,000 card. We're not talking about not being able to pay your cards or card balances or card fees. We're not talking about that. What we're talking about is having the limit on your card to exceed 30 to 35% of the amount of credit that you're being granted. One of the tricks to having a good credit score is to always know when your anniversary or the date that the credit card is being reported to the different credit bureaus, and make sure that you make a payment to bring those cards in line prior to the reporting date of that card. If you do that, then what will happen is you always have a good credit score. This is one of the most important aspects of having credit cards. In some cases, in a lot of cases, a lot of people shouldn't have credit cards. Even when I look at them and I see how they pay them or their understanding of how to manage those cards, I think to myself, this person is headed for trouble. And so I try to make them aware that at some point in their lives, they may have gotten lucky and had a good credit score. And so consequently, what happened is banks, they do promotional inquiries from the credit bureaus, and they know where your credit score is and that kind of thing. So of as a result, then what happens is the banks are going to send you out a pre-approval letter. A pre-approval letter is that bank's simply sending you information advising you that you're pre-approved for a loan to go into Toyota of New Orleans or one of the premier stores and pick up your new car. Now, when you do that, you bring your letter with you, and all you have to do is provide the information that's needed, such as proof of income and proof of residency and your identification, a driver's license preferably, and you pick up the car that fits within the approval that you've been given by that bank. Now, if you have a low credit score, you never get a pre-approval letter. You never get a pre-approved credit card. So your objective should be to be pre-approved, to walk into a store, get the credit card credit that you want, and and get the car that you want, or the clothes that you want, or the phone that you want. I tell a story frequently about my iPhone. I got a phone call from a phone manufacturer, and they said, "Well, Mr. Bowman, we like to send you an iPhone and an iPad. No money down, and this is the amount that you're going to pay every month." Guess what? Within a very short period of time, I had my iPhone and my iPad. It was sent to me. I didn't have to put any money down. I didn't have to pay any money to have it turned on, and we were in business. Great job. Great job. Well, it's just about time for me to say goodbye. I hope I've given you some tips on how you can improve your credit. If you have questions on becoming more credit worthy, on how to increase your credit score, call me at 504-274-8117, or you can look me up on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, Gmail, Remus Bowman 55 at Gmail. We're all over the place. This has been You and Your Credit. We're going to look forward to seeing you next week.